Hello and good evening. My name is John. We're here playing Highway Blossoms as part of my Steam cleaning series, where I go through every game in my Steam library, eventually then arbitrarily rate and/or review them after we have a playtime. Now, I don't quite know what this game is. I pick these games out at random, but I'm gonna guess that this is a visual novel. I got an achievement already. This may be easy achievements. Studio Coattails and Studio Elan presents, in association with the Sekai project. That is a Cactus. Directed by Syon Santeria. Produced by Josh Kaplan. No relation to Jeff Kaplan. Don't think so, at least. Written by Santeria and Josh Kaplan. Alright. You've given yourself 2 credits. Programmed by Kevin Turner. Where have I heard that name before? Sounds really familiar. Editing, Auric Orange and Sun Bosun. Sound by Colin Mondanator Bab. Music by Jake Abernathy, Abel Kirby, Smoke Thief, Trends. Oh. Art by a lot of people, especially someone named Wee or Way. Wee? The music ends. The cassette clicks to a stop. I've listened to it so many times that I've even memorized the placement of the static from the song's original broadcasts. I'm worried the deck might eventually eat the tape, but it never happened to him no matter how many times he played the darned thing, so I'm not too scared. It used to drive me crazy. Every day he would play it over and over again. Sure, he would throw on something different after a few loops, but soon enough he'd switch back and the cycle would repeat itself. Sometimes I think he would do it just to mess with me. I would be in the back in bed, smothering a pillow over my head to block out the music. He would just turn it up louder, even during all-nighters. That was so like him. Even near the end, when he had to finally settle down, he was still pulling that kind of crap. I'd come home from school sometimes, and the police would be at the door because the entire block had called in a noise complaint. He said it was because he was hard of hearing, but I know he did it just to get a rise out of the old grouches who lived nearby. I think that was his worst fear, ending up just another bitter sack of bones, so he did everything in his power to be the exact opposite, right up until the end. Of course, that meant I would always deal with the fallout. I can't imagine what the neighbors thought, seeing a little girl go door to door apologizing because some old man decided to be funny to put plastic flamingos all over their award-winning lawns. I can't help but smile, just a little, even if it does hurt. That is one giant screw. Take a sip of my coffee. Oh wait, that's the seat buckle. What? Does it buckle in? Anyway, take a sip of my coffee. Outside, a heat haze simmers over the never-ending oceans of sand. Who killed the world? So much desert. Desert. Even Roswell was just a rock, sand, and a few shacks. An alien-themed. All alien-themed, of course. Didn't see any UFOs, though. I'm not used to how dry everything is. Even with the AC on high enough to rip off my eyebrows, I'm still all sweaty. He has eyebrows. Guess that's what happens when you laze around in snowy Colorado for a decade. A little bit of motion here. In that regards, the desert is a nice change of scenery. I don't exactly hate it. New sights are nice, especially since his health didn't allow him to do a lot of traveling when I was a little girl. I can see myself getting used to this. Well, maybe another 15 years when I have everything paid off. Ugh, darn it, Amber. Snap out of it. You can worry about that later. This isn't your trip, so stop being so selfish. I push the eject button. Take the tape out and look it over, probably for the 20th time today. Years worth of brown stains and greasy fingerprints are smudged all over, making it feel grimy to the touch. Still works like a charm, though. There are more cassettes in the glove compartment, a mixture of mine and his, mostly his. I should just play one of those and get it over with. My hand gravitates towards the latch. It would be okay, right? No. I snatch my hand away from the latch and flip the tape over. Once again, I find myself staring. With a sigh, I stick it back into the deck. I reach towards the play button, taking another look to see if the road is still clear. Like always, it... Huh? Okay, that was a good effect. Isn't it? I slam on the brakes, their shriek piercing my skull. A glance at my rear view, is that one word? Mirror shows a girl cringing next to an ancient-looking car, covering her ears as they screech down the road. Oh wow, they're actually reversing. Huh. Making a U-turn of dubious legality, I pull up in front of her car, killing the motorhome's engine. I hop out and shield my eyes from the blazing New Mexico sun. Only now do I realize how precious the AC really is/was. It doesn't take more than several steps before the girl comes bouncing up to me with a look of relief.
Oh my god, thank you, thank you, thank you! I was starting to think no one would ever stop.
A little voice acting. With each word, she gets a little closer until we're finally within touching distance of each other. Her smiling face now filling my entire field of vision. Her bright auburn hair is done into a girlish side tail, glistening beneath specks of sweat. Standing out here in the heat has made her round, pale cheeks a sun-kissed red, not pictured here. But she still looks put together. The desert would soon melt her than do any real damage to her looks. I almost feel embarrassed to be in front of someone who dresses so cutely. Her frilly green top and skirt put my red t-shirt and khakis to shame. It's all brought together by one thing, her eyes. They're blue, vividly blue, deep and rich, complementing the traces of her misty perfume as she gets closer and closer. Too close, too close, too close. I scramble back and cough, trying to hide any awkwardness.
No problem.
What's she doing out here alone, driving through? Hell, is she even alone? I peer off into the plains on the side of the road, half expecting a guy to pop up from his hiding place now that some idiot has fallen for their trap. That idiot being me, of course. But, much to my surprise, no one does. Instead, the girl continues to stare at me, smiling as she patiently waits for my response. I glance behind her, focusing on her car.
So what's the issue? Your car breakdown?
I think so, yeah. I was driving and I just kind of...
Stopped.
Yeah.
She lowers her head in shame, eyes fixated on her feet, kicking the dust around her.
I'm not much of a car buff, but I can take a look at it.
Her head pops back up and life returns to her eyes.
Oh, wow! Could you?
Yeah. Can't promise that I can do anything, but I can at least check it out.
Wink.
That'd be great.
Alright, first things first then.
This thing looks even older than my motorhome. It was probably a nice car once upon a time, but with a dented grille, multiple scratches, and faded murky green color, it's hard to believe such a cute girl was driving it. I slide into the fabric seat and start the ignition. I don't know too much about how this stuff works, just enough to keep the motorhome from giving out. But I can't imagine it's too significant of an issue. Probably just a dead battery or... Why is she raising up? Why is she going up and down? No gas. Single car passes by, cooling us with a refreshing gust of wind, sprinkled with dirt and sand.
Is something wrong?
Is this a joke?
Oh no, did I break it?
No, it's just out of gas.
What? No way! Dad said I should have filled up before I left.
Is she for real? Why is this girl in the middle of nowhere by herself? As if trying to force all the ideas into a center of her brain, the girl grabs her head and whines under her breath.
Ah, man, and I didn't charge my phone either. What am I gonna do?
I'd offered her mine, but I've never had a cell phone in my life. Seems like you'd have to be pretty absent-minded. Forget that, though. She whines once more and turns to me.
Hey, this might seem a little weird.
Oh, no.
But could you take me somewhere nearby so I can get some gas?
And what do you know? She actually did it.
How long did you say you've been stuck out here?
I don't know. A few hours, maybe? I've been trying to wave down everyone who drives by, but you were the first to stop.
Hold on, everyone?
Yep.
This heat must have fried her brain. Does she have any idea how dangerous that is?
That's probably not a good idea, you know.
She cocks her head to the side and gives me a look of genuine curiosity, like it wasn't obvious or something.
Huh? Why?
Well, you know.
Do I?
A cute young girl alone in the middle of the desert? It's just asking for trouble.
But you're a cute young girl alone in the middle of a desert.
What?
Her comeback takes me off guard, and I turn away a little, avoiding eye contact.
Yeah, but that's different.
A smile returns to her face, the same bright one that she showed me when I first pulled over. I'm still avoiding eye contact, but she leans over to the direction I'm looking and continues to smile.
So, do you think you can give me a ride?
Wink.
I don't know.
Please! It shouldn't take very long.
This girl, it's like she didn't even listen to what I said. Still, better me than some psycho. Besides, it's not like a small detour would make me late or anything.
I guess it's fine. I'm not in too big of a rush anyway.
I like the little bounce animation. Before I'm even finished, she's springing off the ground and bouncing to the motorhome.
Hey, wait!
But it's already far too late, as she somehow made her way into the motorhome before its owner even finding the time to give me a small wave from the passenger seat. I heave a heavy sigh, rubbing my temples as I climb back into the driver's seat. The key is still dangling in the ignition. I wrench it around and the motorhome roars to life, forcing a surprised squeak out of the girl.
By the way, my name is Marina. Thank you so much for helping me out.
Okay, so that was the seatbelt there.
Amber, don't mention it.
Careful not to hit her car, I back up the RV and turn around, sending us in my original direction. I reach for the play button on the cassette player, finally giving into temptation, but Marina starts up again.
Why aren't we going the other way? Wasn't there a station a little ways back?
It was more than a little ways back. I saw a sign a few miles ago that said there was a station not too far from here, so we're going there.
Oh wow, I didn't even see that. You're really observant.
Yeah, or you're just really oblivious.
Not really.
Silence falls between us, the roaring of the engine and the swishing of the wind from outside being the only sounds. I take that as my cue and reach for the cassette player once more and finally get...
How do you even drive this thing? It's huge!
Marina spreads her arms out like an eagle, unfurling its wings, almost bopping me on the head in the process. I clear my throat and grab her arm out from the air, gently placing it on her lap.
It's not that bad. You get used to it.
She tilts her head to the side and gives a light grunt as if saying, "That's so?" and returns the silence of before. Again, I reach for the cassette play.
So what are you doing out here? Are you going camping? Seems like what you're doing is fun.
I take a deep breath and hold it as long as possible before letting it out.
Just traveling. What about you? Why are you out here?
Oh, well, it's kinda silly.
She scratches her head and lets out an embarrassed laugh before staring at her feet. She quiets down and surprisingly stays quiet. Well, looks like that worked. I reach for the cassette player one last time. I stop for a moment to look at the glove compartment, then Marina, who looks lost in thought. Finally, I press play. Content ID incoming. Nope. A pleasant little chime greets me as I enter the station. Marina travels closely behind. The drive was quiet after I turned on the music. Turning the tables on her and asking what she was doing out there seemed to throw her off. I didn't mean to come off as cold as I did. It's just been ages since I had a conversation beyond accepting some half-hearted condolences. Though, to be fair, I hadn't really wanted to hold one. The guy behind the counter is busy ringing something up, so I set out in search of a gas can. The store is one of those big mini-mart places made specifically for travelers. It's surprisingly clean for a place surrounded by sand. Every corner is unnatural sanitary shine, accompanied by the scent of citrus cleaning product.
Hey, they have cola flavor here!
You know, cola flavor. I turn around and find Arena clutching a slushy machine. Oh, okay. Her eyes widening like a cat when tempted with yarn.
Don't most gas stations have it?
She shakes her head, but doesn't take her eyes off the machine.
All the places back home only had cherry and raspberry. When we got sick of them, we just had to mix them together. But...
Marina finally turns to me wearing a face of pure, concentrated sadness.
I left my wallet in the car.
It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just looking at her, I can feel my heart break. Wait a second.
How were you expecting to pay for the gas?
I don't know. I just remembered.
How did she last 5 minutes out in the desert?
Fine, I guess I'll pay for it.
Really?
Yeah. And grab yourself one of those slushies too. But make it a small one.
Her pure concentrated sadness melts into pure concentrated happiness.
You're the best, Amber.
She grabs a cup and holds down the button until the slushy overflows and drips down the side. I was going to pay for the gas anyway, but I'm hoping the drink makes up for the drive over. I spot the gas cans, and with Marina happily sipping her drink, grab one and head for the counter. That is not a guy at the register. Okay, the guy at the register is still ringing up the same girl. Lines of flimsy plastic bags line the counter, filled with the mixture of off-brand junk food and gardening tools. He scans the item as the girl digs through her wallet. Her bandana-wrapped head presses a phone against her shoulder.
Aren't you supposed to be the badass mechanic? What good are you if you're not?
She swipes out a card and hands it to the cashier, more interested in staring at her nails than looking at him.
How the hell would I know? Have the squirt check underneath if you're so curious.
On the other end of the line, I could hear the faintest of squabbling. I can't make anything out they're saying, but the tone sounds worlds more tolerable than the girls.
If it's that old, then I say do it. Cash is cash. It's not like anyone's gonna care. You better not take as long as last time, though. I'll be waiting for you slackers outside.
Girl slips her phone back into the crevices of her dangerously unzipped jumpsuit. The little clothing she has on underneath looks like it's going to burst from the slightest movement. Not my type, especially with that personality, but it's hard for me to do anything but other than stare. The attendant reaches out to help with the bag, so the girl snaps away before he can. She shoots him a heated glare that burns straight through the man and into the wall behind him. Figuratively speaking. Turning around, the girl looks at us for a second before rolling her eyes, then marches out the door, the bags weighing her down as they nearly scrape the ground. Yeah, definitely not my type.
Good luck.
Good luck. Marina and I set the can and nearly empty slushie on the counter.
Will that be all?
Yeah, sorry for more boring than that other girl.
The attendant hacks out a dry cackle and scans the gas can. He flicks his oily ponytail behind his shoulder and then rings up Marina's drink.
And a lot of folks passing through and stocking up the past few days. It's been a good change of pace. I'm guessing that's why you girls are here too.
Marina eases towards the counter, nudging herself tightly between me and a rack, her hands creeping over to the slushie.
For what? I'm just heading out to California.
I don't end up driving myself insane first.
You mean you don't know?
The attendant freezes, forgetting about the scanner in hand. Blinding red light beams from it onto my chest.
About what?
Why, the treasure.
The treasure! Marina's hand stops just shy of grabbing the cup.
Treasure?
The clerk's chubby face morphs into a grin.
You telling me that you girls haven't heard of the treasure in the journal?
A treasure! Legend of Curly's Gold!
I have.
I frown, embarrassed. Marina looks at the floor again, her cheeks flushing red. I guess she's always just this forward.
Oh, well, I heard about it on the news. It's kind of why I drove down here.
Aha!
You drove out into the middle of the desert for treasure?
Not just treasure, but treasure!
Sorry, but you've lost me.
Not just any treasure, Missy. The miner's treasure.
Like a small treasure? A minor treasure? No, the minor. Says it like that should clarify what he meant. I stare at him. He stares back. Marina sips the last dregs of her slushie.
You honestly don't know.
Not a clue. Are you gonna change that?
A little feisty, ain't you?
Not really. Just have stuff to do.
Fair enough. A little while back, some folks were going through all the trash in their garage. As fate would have it, they came across an old journal. turns out the thing belonged to their great uncle. Or maybe it was their great grandfather. I don't know. Some dead old man.
I cut him off with a cough, a polite hint for him to either get on with it or to quit his yammering. Despite apparently knowing all of this, Marina continues to stay focused with rapt attention. Sometimes her drink makes that annoying slurping sound again. It is a slurpee, like that's kind of what they do.
Sorry. I'll try keeping it short. Anyway, after flipping through it, they found out that he'd struck it rich during the gold rush.
If
So not
he
pirates.
struck it rich, then wouldn't the family know about it? They'd have to be pretty well off, right?
Oh, I can answer that. He went back home to Missouri without any gold and told all his friends he hid it.
By now, the slushy is all gone. Marina tries for one last sip, but that's all that's left of the straw is air. She peers down the cup and blows out a small sigh.
No one believed him, though.
I raise an eyebrow. If even this girl knows about it, then I must be more out of the loop than I thought.
Well now, looks like Sister here has been doing her research.
The attendant leans into the counter and smirks.
Story goes, he wanted to eventually move his family out west and dig his gold back up along the way, but kicked it before he could.
Oh, it's a mystery. He slides his thumb along his neck and makes a cheesy sound effect to go with it. Marina giggles, but I just keep staring.
The folks that found the journal ended up selling it to some hotshot publishing house. Now everyone wants to retrace his steps and find the treasure.
Yarr.
Shipments have been selling like hotcakes. Just got ours last week.
He points to a rack of identical books standing by the door. A sign hanging over that reads, Treasure of the Desert, A Miner's Journey, Take Part in the New Gold Rush. Yeah, that'll stick in people's heads.
And people are really buying into this.
Sure are. I've worked here for over 20 years, and never have I seen this many people passing through. Even the Banshee before you was here for some supplies and a journal.
Sure, okay, this is a hoax if I've ever seen one.
And where is this supposed treasure?
No one knows.
Wahaha.
It's all scattered around the desert. They say the journal has hints to its whereabouts.
It was all buried in one piece.
Uh-huh. Marina, you said this is why you drove out here.
Yep, that's right.
But you don't really believe the treasure exists, do you?
Sure I do.
He pauses to think.
At least, I want to. But wouldn't it be super cool if there was treasure?
Yarr.
Sure, it would be cool. But there's a good chance there isn't. And even if there were, do you know where to start looking?
No, not really. I never got that far. I don't even have a copy of the journal.
She lowers her head like she knows there's a good chance what I'm saying is true.
But I have to try.
For Papa. Her voice is soft and quiet, but there's a faint glow of determination behind it. Makes me feel ashamed for scolding, but the idea that she dropped everything for italic treasure is insane. To her credit, she did a little research, but that's canceled out by driving in the desert without full tank gas. She wasn't prepared at all. People who care about her must be worried sick. I barely even know her, and I'm worried.
Aw, don't be too hard on her, Missy. After all, who could resist a good treasure hunt?
I can. He looks to Marina and gives a big, gummy grin, courtesy of his missing teeth. Only one missing tooth.
Ain't that right, sister?
Marina springs back with a smile of her own.
That's right!
Rolling my eyes, I reach into my pockets and pass some crumpled bills to the clerk.
Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
He shrugs and stuffs the cash into the register, though now I'm just paying for the tank and an empty cup. I pocket the change. Give a casual wave from the exit. That should be good enough, thank you. Marina follows, though a bit more animated, waving her arm like a fan as she says goodbye.
Oh, and sister?
Yeah?
You go ahead and take one of them journals. Free of charge.
Really?
Marina lights up like a firecracker, mounces up and down like she's a kid again.
Yup.
Oh, wow! Thanks, mister!
In one swift motion, she swipes one from the remaining books off the rack so fast that I swear my eyes are skipping frames.
Hey, Amber! Look! He gave me one for free.
Yeah, I see it.
I tune her out, chattering, and nod as we walk out to the parking lot so we can finally get the fuel. The attendant shouts one last thing, his voice fading behind the glass of the closing door.
Luck on your trip.
Desert people are weird. Or desert people. Both would be weird.
No way.
No way!
Maybe it's further up the road?
I can't believe it. It's gone.
We could have just passed it.
We weren't even away that long. How can it be gone?
We stare at the empty space that once housed a certain ugly green car. Look at every conceivable direction, left or right, but there's nothing but an ocean of sand and never any stretch of road. Was it towed? No, not out here, not this quick.
Where the hell did it go?
Yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it?
Rina's hands rest against her cheeks as she looks on with only mild confusion, like she's trying to solve a small mystery.
Your car is missing! That's more than a little weird.
Well, it's actually my big brother's car. He just lent it to me when he left for college.
Oh, well that makes everything better then.
Really?
No.
No!
Let out a heavy sigh and press my fingers into my temple, attempting to massage away the stress and irritation.
It was probably stolen. We'll need to call the police. You have a phone, right?
I do, but...
Her voice trails off a cliff. What she said earlier echoes in my head.
That's right. You said it was dead. And I'm guessing you left it in your car.
Yeah.
Well, that's just great.
Don't you have one?
Nope, never needed one.
Afraid no one would call you?
Oh, snap.
Not quite.
Shield my eyes and look up at the dry sky. Its color shifted from a glowing orange to a glowing orange as the sunset begins to settle over the distant valley peaks. It's going to get dark pretty quick.
Don't worry, Amber. I would call you.
Can't just leave her. Even if she did have her phone, it would take forever before anyone could get out here. She's going to burn up in the heat to freezing out in the cold within a few hours. Plus, if there are people around who would steal cars, there's no telling who else is out here. I can already see how this all would go down. She would be huddled on the side of the road, trying to keep warm. A pack of coyotes would be howling all around her, closing in. Then from down the road, a starved creep would pull up in a trashy old pickup, open his door for her, and... oh, God.
Hey, where are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
Good question. That's a really good question.
Oh, I'm from Carlsbad.
Carlsbad? Pause it for a second.
Or at least kind of close to it. It's a little out of the way.
Carlsbad? You're from California?
No, silly! Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Oh, right.
Had me going there for a second.
How far is that?
Less than a tank of gas.
Maybe 2 hours from here?
Wow, you didn't get very far at all, did you?
Rina lowers her head in shame.
I never really seem to.
Though I'm not really one to talk, I've been on the road less than a day. Would have gotten farther if traffic on the I-40 wasn't such a pain in the butt, or if I didn't pick up Marina.
Hey, listen. You don't live too far away. If you want, I can probably give you a lift back home.
Prep myself for an explosion of thankful energy and excitement. But there isn't one. Instead, she continues to stare at the ground, her hands now balled up into fists as she fizzes ever so slightly.
Something wrong?
She shifts her gaze from the ground and looks me straight in the eyes, drawing a deep, long breath.
Remember the treasure we were talking about at the store?
You mean from 5 minutes ago?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to ask, and you've already helped me out so much already. But do you think you could take me to the first place the treasure is?
Huh?
Wants to keep going, even after this entire disaster?
The treasure. Could you take me to the first?
I heard you the first time. It's just... You don't even know if this thing is real, but you've dropped everything to go look for it. And now you're asking me, someone you've just met out in the middle of the desert, to take you to it. Even though you don't know if it's real and you've just had your car stolen. Did I catch all that?
Uh-huh.
Shameless. This has been Highway Blossom. So far, I find the characters to be pretty decent in engagement. Nothing too overly creepy from the start. It's been a kinetic novel so far, so I don't know if I have any choices. So I'm going to just click here and see if I get a choice at any time. We'll just see what happens. But the characters seem, you know, she's a little ditzy and she's a little tough, but the voice acting is okay. Could be better, could be a lot worse.
Anyway.
All right.
Alright.
You don't drive from back here.
You have the...
Yeah.
Are there any... Oh, text.
Ah,
Okay.
What is it?
the gist of it is...
That shouldn't.
Yeah.
I got an achievement.
Shit. There's a... Assume...
There's
How?
No choices yet.
It's a small... I'm surprised.
Yeah. But
Sure. Alright. Let's hit...
All right, adding the space bar in.
so
Oh,
though.
yeah.
We're going, we're going.
You know, you have... That's... It's my grand... You...
Yeah.
That's...
For
Not...
it was.
A lot of stuff so far. Not a lot of choices.
Oh. Are you? Oh.
Almost... You...
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna guess there's no choices here. I'm gonna just double check. There's a lot of achievements. There's 20 achievements. Complete the first desert buff length of extreme difficulty? Huh. I don't know. This has been Desert Blossoms. It seems okay. Cheers.